Hi everyone, welcome to Day 3 Barcelona. I think every one of you must be very excited in the last 2 days. I believe you guys are also very tired, but hopefully today's session will wake you up again so that you have energy for the next 3-4 hours or tomorrow. Okay, so my name is Terence Wong. I'm based in the APAC region, support our member in the region to adopting 5G in private and public sector. So today is my honor to host the session about with our members all around the world, not only in APAC, but from global, including Critical Communication Association and their member, and then also 5G Automotive Association, and also some of our Asia local alliance and member, and of course government as well. Thank you for coming to this summit. So Global 5G Alliance Summit, the rise of digital industry in private and public sector. So today we have a very, this is me of course. So today we have a 2-hour content. So the first hour we are very focusing on how 5G being adopted in the private sector, especially we have a good, very good speaker from APAC region coming from Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and then we will talk about this later. And then on the next hour, we shift a little bit to the public sector, public services and safety. So with honor that we work with TCCA to organize this part of the session. So we will talk about transportation and automotive by Max. And then we will go into more detail about the public safety for 5G services. Okay, actually I should have my boss here, but he's walking here. Let him to do opening and APEX update a little bit later. Yeah, back to what I'm doing. Actually, I think some of you know me very well. So I'm in the region driving the adaptation of 5G. Actually, APAC is a very large market and very fragmented. So that's why we have to build a community to work together to support our member. So this community actually we have formed for more than 4 or 5 years. So now we already have more than 1,000 members, which covering from government, our mobile operator member, and our ecosystem partner, of course. So we support them to roll out 5G national alliance so that they can drive the localization of 5G adaptation with their local partner. And then, of course, we also work with our global vertical alliance leader in the world in different sectors, because we are not really a technology creator, but we are more like a smart follower, especially in Southeast Asia region. So we work with our enterprise, the end user, and some government department to form different interest group, because we need to identify the digital pioneer from a hospital, from a seaport operator, or from a mine operator. We need to identify them who can talk about 5G, what are the benefits, why they adopt 5G. So luckily, we already have more than 50 to 100 this kind of enterprise and government user to adopt 5G in APAC region. So later you will hear some of them to talk about 5G. So this community, like I mentioned, the best thing is we have end-to-end from the end user side to the supplier side. And of course, we also have regulator inside. So we could support a lot of digital transformation much more easier if we have end-to-end community. So this community always support you guys. If you have something very new, we can support you. For example, a lot of MNC, I think for 5G, most difficulty is for brownfield deployment. If you already have a factory, if you want to deploy 5G, it's very challenging. But a lot of MNC, they are always expanding operation outside their home country. So one of the initiatives we drive is there are quite a lot of Chinese MNC going outside China. So that's why we want a roundtable bringing a Chinese enterprise with overseas operation in different markets with our APAC delegation to support them to deploy 5G connecting their factory, connecting their port, or connecting their car in the foreign country. And then, of course, like what I mentioned, we work with a different ministry. So in Indonesia, we run a Digital Nation Summit, transforming manufacture and Maya. So we work with Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, Ministries of Industry. Of course, we always work with Ministry of Communication. So we bring all the ministry together to drive these two sectors for digital transformation, which is very useful. And then we also invited by a Global Digital Healthcare Association, HIMSS, to run 5G workshop inside their APAC flagship event, HIMSS APAC. So we did a one-day workshop and also some innovation chat. So we try to bring our innovator like Dr. Gao here, who is from NHS, who talk about how they adopt 5G in their hospital for daily operation. Yeah. So we write a lot of case study. So welcome to go to our website to download this case study. And then we will run innovation tour, to bring our innovator, our ecosystem to different markets to learn from the latest deployment of 5G. Okay, this is some of the snapshot. Of course, we are supporting government to accelerate the 5G rollout. We did one 5G summit with Ministry of Communication in Sri Lanka to talk about the 5G roadmap. This is our case study. We did more than 30 physical and virtual summit. So these are all available for you. Finally, of course, I highlight this agenda, which is our the next 12-month activity. We will support our member in different markets because APAC is very big and quite fragmented. So we have to run some national conference to support the interests of the local ecosystem. So that's why you see we have persons all around the region. In Australia, in New Zealand, we will work with our partner. And then in some of the ASEAN market, we will do our Digital Nation Summit. So welcome to work together with us to make 5G success, especially in our region. Okay, let me pass back to my boss, Julian Gorman, who give you some warm opening and welcome. Sorry, Julian, I just make use of time. Yeah. If you need to...
I need to go back to it?
Back. Digital Nation.
Okay. Yeah. I apologize for my late arrival. Terence has now gone through a lot of the detail. But maybe, so my name is Julian Gorman, the head of Asia Pacific for GSMA. It's great to see some familiar faces here today at this Alliance Summit. Second year, I think we've had the Alliance, third year, had the Alliance Summit. So maybe best to give a bit of the vision of why we have so much to focus on this, and Terence leads this community, is because, I mean, in its essence, we all discuss about how 5G is actually, it's part of enabling an ecosystem. And it's important that, or critical actually, to come up with the use cases, actually, we bring the ecosystems together. And so that they can interact, share, grow knowledge, share best practice. But then from an alliances point of view, multiple alliances point of view, is also to come together and be able to share and understand how alliances can better execute. So it's not just what's happening in the alliance, but it's also how you operate the alliance. I mean, ultimately, GSMA seeks to unite the whole mobile ecosystem, but that breaks down into lots of different communities. It's great to see so many communities represented here. From our APAC 5G industry community is actually, it's our longest established community in the region, and it's had, as Terence has outlined, has significant reach and community size in the region. And I think you've seen on the sides the reports, the effort, the activities to bring people together. And this year, it's we're proud to announce that actually we've formalised a new series called Digital Nation Summit Series, where we look to bring national leaders together to focus on national topics and share. So different from Mobile World Congress, we have so much here that sometimes you can say that it's a little hard to digest too much here. The Digital Nation Summits, we look to bring together the mobile operators with the leaders of the industry. And the APAC 5G industry community is going to be a key part of those events. We're looking to run them across most of the ASEAN countries, which Terence has been working with for some time now, and looking to invite you to participate in those. And the aim is that in each country we focus on the priorities of that market. Terence outlined, there's a number of sectors there, everything from mining to manufacturing, and that varies by country, and we will adjust to make that happen. So in this year, I call it a 6+1. You can see the cities we're planning on doing the Digital Nation Summits. That's the 6. And the one last year in Jakarta, was very focused. It was just the APAC 5G industry community. For the others, some of them are going to be first time. So Hanoi in April will be the first time. But we're looking to see how we can unlock and support the 5G and IoT ecosystem in Vietnam and bring it into the community. We'll also be doing a more major event, which will be based around ASEAN in Kuala Lumpur towards Q4. That'll be more like a 2-day event. And so not our M360, but again, focused on Malaysia's hosting of the ASEAN chair. And so we're looking to partner that with some ASEAN activities to make sure that Malaysia is promoting and championing best practice across the region. But no, I arrived late and Terence got well into it, and so I am holding you up from the real content you've come to see. So with that, as I say, welcome very much to Mobile Congress. I know this is day 3, so you've probably been welcomed a dozen times already. But welcome. Thank you very much for your participation in the APAC 5G industry community. It's actually, the community is strong by the people who participate in it. And we certainly look to make sure that you can get more out of it than you put in. That's our ambition. And so thank you for participating and look forward to an exciting summit here today.
Okay, next, of course, we have to invite our first speaker, which is also from GSMA, Christina Pestroora. She is the lead analyst of IoT and enterprise in GSMA Intelligence. Christina, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Should I? Yes, it's better now? Yes. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Christina Pestroora. I'm working as a lead analyst with GSMA Intelligence. For those of you who might not be familiar with what we do, so we are the internal data analysis and insights unit within the GSMA. We operate like an analyst company, so we work, of course, with members, but also with our own customers, producing data sets, reports about the wider mobile industry. My area of coverage is what's called IoT and enterprise. So today I'd like to discuss with you some of the findings of a recent very extensive study we did with more than 4,000 enterprises. Enterprises being like the whole enterprise sector, different vertical industries. And more specifically, right, so the data points you're about to see come from this recent study. So enterprises means they are adopters of communications technologies like 5G, Wi-Fi, as well private networks, fixed connectivity, as well as digital technologies, more established ones like cloud, cybersecurity, and more emerging ones like AI, IoT in some cases, and edge. Now, we targeted buyers of digital transformation technologies with this study. So, for example, enterprise IT professionals, OT professionals, and so on. And this covered 21 countries and 10 industry verticals. Now, Let's start with the mobile technology and other networks. We asked enterprises questions around the level of use, level of funding, suppliers of choice, and technology-specific questions. Oh, that's perhaps a little bit too tiny to see. Let me go through this. From the top, you see 5G networks, and then 4G networks is the second bar. So that's under wireless. And basically what this slide suggests is that 5G and fixed and Wi-Fi, which is the third bar, they lead on importance for digital transformation. So enterprises seem to have like really high expectations from this. Now in the lowest bar, there is satellite, which curiously came up really, really high to us. So we were wondering why that is, because of course we know this is not really the extent of which this is adopted, but really the question was around importance. And probably this indicates that maybe enterprises want to enjoy flexibility, they want to have options. As I said, this study covered different verticals, so any data point you see can be also customized by country, by vertical, by size of company as well. Now, for 5G, the sector with the highest share of responses in terms of importance for digital transformation was automotive mobility, followed by utilities and energy. For satellite, it was all about automotive and transportation more widely, as well as logistics. Asking about the level of use, cybersecurity and cloud are the most used digital transformation technologies. IoT sits somewhere in between the more established ones and the more emerging ones, such as generative AI and edge compute. We also asked companies to rank technologies in terms of investment priorities. And here are the results for the top 5 priority areas. Now, 40% of enterprises, a little bit less than 1 in 2, they had cybersecurity amongst the top 5 areas. 1 in 3 enterprises, they had AI in cloud, and 1 in 6, in my view, a little bit too low. So IoT among the top 5 areas of investment, placing it rather low, as I said, with much more emerging ones, where it can be perhaps more justified, which are edge and extended reality. But what is actually really the enterprise spending on digital transformation? Now, based on this study, this came up on 10% on average, which currently in short-term future sits at 9%, and in the coming years it's expected to reach 11% of total revenues. So this is like the digital transformation budget as a share of total revenues. Now, within that, oh, that's too small. Sorry for that. So within that, we asked enterprises to tell us how much of this 10% of total revenues is going to which technologies. And the results are shown here. Mobile connectivity gathered 13% of digital transformation budget. IoT and big data, similar levels at 8%. Fixed and Wi-Fi at 8% as an example. Now, the survey allowed us to do interesting analysis, and the example is shown here. And this is based on 2 different questions. One was the spend on digital transformation, and the other one was on the question about actual use of individual technologies. Now, this allowed us to categorize the different verticals, so based on where the respondents were coming from, in terms of leaders, followers, and laggards. So interestingly enough, we had media, financial services, and utilities coming up as leaders. Moving on, we asked about what is like the perceived 5G capabilities that are appealing to enterprises. And in here, we had connectivity and security as the leading ones. As I said, we can also get the view by sector. I might need to run a little bit, so apologies for this. I'm happy to make this available after. And going a little bit to individual technologies, I chose to bring a bit of IoT today to share with you. So we asked like what type of connectivity technologies, so what is like the mix. So we had 1 in 2 favoring 5G based IoT and Wi-Fi at similar levels. 1 in 4 4G based IoT and LPWA, and 1 in 6 respondents chose LoRa and satellite, the two at similar levels. Now, the challenges in deploying IoT were topped by cost of implementation, security, and complex tech integration. But if one looks a little bit more carefully down at the percentages of this chart, you will realize that around 1 in 4 to 1 in 3 enterprises are facing all of these challenges. I think this is the key takeaway here. And as I said, this is really a tool, right? This survey and this study is really a tool. And one of the interesting things is like the cross-regional comparisons we can draw. So just to show you here a couple of slides about the APAC region. Now moving on to this, we had the question about importance of 5G, and we had APAC countries generally sitting above the global average consensus, which may imply greater expectations or better awareness or better understanding as for the fit with the wider enterprise story and offering of 5G. And a very like a really popular question with our customers is basically what are the type of suppliers that enterprises are buying these technologies from. And obviously we have like special considerations for network operators. Now, for example, we ask them whether you include network operators when you are buying AI, for example, or other technologies, and what are the reasons for doing so. And we got to some interesting regional level results. Now, European countries, in cases when they are not working with operators for AI, it's due to having perhaps easier access to other suppliers. In China, it is mostly due to low awareness of how mobile network operators can help. In Korea, it is due to what's perceived as not many AI initiatives. And in Japan, it is about limited network operator expertise in AI. As I said, this is really a small part, perhaps a tiny part of this study, and I just wanted to give a little bit maybe of a debating point here for the rest of the session. So hopefully this opened up a bit your appetite. If you're interested to know more about this, please reach out directly to me. And yeah, this is a wrap up of my section. I hope I stayed on time. Terence, thank you.
Thanks, Christina. I think we still need to work hard if you are a mobile operator. Seems we are not really aware by the end user on AI. Okay, next. It's our honor for the next speaker from Malaysia, Datuk Dr. Rizin Hassan. He's the CEO of Maranti, which is a technology park, I would say. So let's welcome Dr. Rizin Hassan, please. He will talk about accelerating AI and 5G innovation in ASEAN country. Okay.
I need to bring up the mic a little bit. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. Let me quickly introduce myself. I know I've been allocated 10 minutes. I will try to encapsulate what I want to present today. Firstly, Technology Innovation Park Malaysia is 686 acres, right smack in the city center of Kuala Lumpur. It's a huge real estate with a GDV of 23 billion ringgit. So it is quite a place to manage. We have about 26,000 knowledge workers in that area, plus 14,000 students in the area of technology, science, and innovation. Three main areas we look at: ecosystem building, startups, and also recently the energy suckers, data centers are also there. So when you talk about startups, essentially there are four areas that they all look at: access to capital, access to technology innovation, access to talents, and access to market. So this is something that we do a lot of coordination there. Now, it's a very pregnant subject. Usually I speak off the cuff, but because it's a pregnant subject, I've prepared something. So I will refer to those notes. I think it's important. As Darren said just now, ASEAN, Malaysia has been given the ASEAN stewardship. We took that stewardship January 1st to 2025. For those, I think most of you know what's ASEAN, but ASEAN is Association of Southeast Asian Nation, 10 plus 1, there's one more country joining us. In fact, Bangladesh has actually applied to join as a partner to ASEAN. That shows ASEAN has been relatively peaceful. We've not had any major wars. We know how to discuss. We know how to diplomatically solve the problems. We don't quickly go into AI drones to exterminate our neighbors. So ASEAN has been very, very peaceful and been exemplary in that. I have some colleagues from Thailand, from Singapore. I think they can vouch for the same. And so it's an interesting time. Everybody talks about AI, artificial intelligence. Some people jokingly always talk about my prime minister, AI too, Anwar Ibrahim. And he's one guy who talks about AI quite a bit. He talks about digital transformation across ASEAN. So he talks about energy grid across ASEAN. He talks about digital transformation in the truest form of the word across ASEAN. We talk about what we call AI also across ASEAN, quite a bit, quite extensively. Now, usually saying it is very easy, right? To implement it is going to be a tough thing. I'll just give one snapshot example, I don't want to run out of the time, is our own 5G deployment in Malaysia. So we had tough times because powers that be decided there should be single wholesale network. That means one player. Monopoly for 34.1 million market in Malaysia. So some of us fought against it, and eventually it became what we intend was multiple wholesale network, but eventually they end up with dual wholesale network. And even that, they're struggling to do some things. But anyway, these are just a little bit snapshot of ASEAN, Malaysia, and so on. Right? Again, it's my distinct privilege to address all of you here in Mobile World Congress. I think it's my second time here. And today I'll briefly examine how mature 5G and AI are transforming industries and societies across ASEAN, and how Malaysia, with its active neutrality and rising tech investment from global giants, is emerging as a regional innovation gateway. Active neutrality is a very important differentiation for Malaysia because we do not want to be part of any geopolitical games of anyone. And we want to, as ASEAN always been, ZOFAN, Zone of Peace, Freedom and Neutrality. So if one side comes with certain technology, we welcome them. The other side comes with technology, we welcome them. What is good for us, we do, for the ASEAN. So that is actually the principles that we have generally adopted. Malaysia, Singapore, and all Thailand are the founding fathers of ASEAN. So I think that will still remain, and that helps us. I begin with global 5G AI trends, then focus on ASEAN's ecosystem and Malaysia's role in building a tech-driven future for economic growth, social well-being, and sustainability. By 2025, we see how 5G, now well beyond its infancy, is supporting various transformative scenarios worldwide. Mission-critical URLLC, immense enhanced mobile broadband, EMBB, and massive IoT, MMTC. Private 5G networks are expanding in manufacturing, logistics, healthcare, and energy. Meanwhile, service providers are pairing edge computing with 5G for on-site real-time analytics, reducing bandwidth needs. This is critical because 5G is pictured as it's expensive and this and that. Network slicing and virtualization also let 5G adapt dynamically to each industry. On the AI front, we see dramatic strides in generative AI, multimodal intelligence, edge computing, and responsible AI governance. Large language models now work alongside vision language systems and advanced reinforcement learning. Solutions orchestrating complex tasks in real time. We talk about AI, artificial generative intelligence, what's the next one? AGI, then agentive intelligence, and then you have ASI, artificial superintelligence. So we are roughly in the first phase. And I've authored a book, and the next book is, I'm writing, the title is about 5IR. I'm not promoting the book, but 5IR. And I'm talking about quite a bit on self-intelligence, where AI becomes completely independent of human being, not only from the perspective of running it, the operating system and so on, but also energy independent. And that's very scary. Sustainability is also at the forefront, both reducing AI's carbon footprint and ensuring privacy, fairness, and transparency. Major leaps in edge AI and federated learning allow data to be processed on devices or local nodes, improving response times while safeguarding user privacy. This is especially vital in the 5G era, where countless sensors generate continuous data. Swarms of factory robots or autonomous vehicles can now collectively train AI model without sending raw data to distant clouds, all within milliseconds, thanks to 5G high-speed, low-latency connection. These are all amazing 5G AI synergy unfolding in 2025. Consider this table, 5G AI synergy matrix, which links 10 global 5G trends to 6 key AI trends. I don't know whether it's readable, but these slides are available with the organizer, and it'll be shared. Knowledge we share very freely and democratically, so it can be shared, yeah? From predictive analytics, maintenance, to computer vision, NLP, robotics, anomaly detection, and edge AI and federated learning. Each cell offers an example of how AI and 5G can beautifully tango together. These are not academic fantasies anymore. They reflect real deployments. 5G delivers the bandwidth, reliability, and scale, while AI provides predictive intelligence, learning, and automation. Together, they push the boundaries of what connectivity and computation can achieve. Look, technology can be actually used for good things. Unfortunately, technologies these days are being used for some other things, but it also can be used for good, productive things for betterment of the human being. Now let's shift our gaze to ASEAN. I talked about ASEAN quite a bit, home to more than 680 million people. What's the US population? 347 million people. So we are almost double, 680 million market. 65% of them are under 35. So we're not only 680 million, but 65% of us are very youthful. Yeah, I'm the extreme value. I'm an old man, 58-year-old, but 65% is 35. This youthful demographic fuels the demand for connectivity and innovation, prompting many governments to prioritize 5G and AI to drive economic growth, modernize public services, and boost global competitiveness. The tables in the slide, in the sample, in the same 5G AI synergy matrix, but now in the ASEAN context, and for the real or pilot examples. Each cell shows how a specific 5G application uses AI to address regional challenges in port operations. Some of our port operations have become AI. I mean, I've been to China, there's a place called Tianjin, and wow, I mean, there's no human being involved in the port operations. Right from the ships coming alongside, and that, I don't know what they call that, the crane. The crane will take the container, put on auto or EV, goes up there, been distributed according to where the warehouse to be. Geez, and there's no human being. The only place there's a human being, 3 people in their IOC, Intelligent Operations Center. Things have changed, Each cell shows how specific 5G application uses to address regional challenges, like, for instance, port operations, manufacturing, public services, and healthcare. Many of our civil service are quite loaded, quite big numbers. So AI, 5G, the intersection between these two will reduce that also. All the critical sectors given ASEAN's geographic diversity and rapid growth. These examples highlights the practical impact of 5G plus AI across ASEAN, not just in industrial IoT or robotics, but also in everyday life. They can help close gaps in healthcare, agriculture, education, and more. Of course, ASEAN, due to its own diversity, from highly urbanized Singapore. Where's the Singaporean friend? I saw him just now. There we go, Singapore. And to more rural nations like Myanmar, to Cambodia, calls for 5G rollouts and AI solutions that adapt to varying infrastructure and socio-economic conditions. The recurring themes in this metric are, number one, the shift towards Industry 4.0 and automation. Do not look at it in isolation, Industry 4.0 and automation. Two, the extensive application in service-oriented sectors. These examples underscore a broader trend: public-private collaboration and multi-stakeholder consortia, telecom operators, government agencies, people like us, and industry giants are driving the region's digital transformation. Here are some future direction that we see and consideration based on what we are looking from that table that I showed. Number one, scalability and infrastructure. While many pilot projects are underway, reaching national or regional scale demands robust 5G investment, especially in archipelagic nations like Indonesia and Philippines. When I say archipelagic, Indonesia is thousands of islands, and Philippines also hundreds of islands. Rural coverage and spectrum availability remain critical. Secondly, talent and skill development. This is very critical. Thirdly, privacy and security. And fourthly, cross-border collaboration. The table we saw just now showcases how major telecom operators like Maxis, Celcom, DG, Singtel, my friend from AIS, M1, Viettel, PLDT, and others are driving knowledge exchanges across borders. Cross-border 5G testbeds and shared AI standards can speed up technology adoption and help smaller nations leapfrog. Overall, this ASEAN example of AI 5G synergy reveal a vibrant ecosystem where governments, telcos, and industries use cutting-edge technology to tackle operational, civic, and social challenges. However, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, and the Philippines are rapidly advancing pilot 5G AI application in manufacturing, logistics, healthcare. Remember, Singapore is a little bit ahead. You should be very happy. Coming from a Malaysian, you must be very happy. So they are a little bit ahead, but the rest of the countries in ASEAN nation are catching up. We exist and coexist in a very peaceful manner, right? We don't, for everything we try to say, I'll do a reciprocal tariff or tariff, We are very, very, ambiance. We have a right ambiance. You know what I'm talking about, reciprocal tariff? It was a joke because he started everything, then he's saying reciprocity. As we saw just now, in many of these instances, Malaysia's name appears alongside key projects in manufacturing, data center expansion. In Malaysia now, there's an explosion of data center and AI-driven initiative. Why data center? Because Singapore kindly and mercifully said no. So now they come to us. And we have a huge presence in Johor. We have a huge presence in Bukit Jalil. And because I've signed the NDA with all the hyperscalers, I can't name them. They are very hypersensitive about everything. So I can't reveal their names, but these are all the big. But Malaysia, we want to position ourselves as active neutrality. And we want to be the Switzerland of AI. So I hope Switzerland is still Switzerland, but yeah, when I say Switzerland of AI, we be active neutrality. That's important. So I think the rest of it is, of course, we have so many initiatives within the Technology Innovation Park Malaysia. We have something called National Sandbox. We started an AI National Sandbox where everything that is not clearly defined, stated, we put it there. And today we were a champion or leader who initiated AI faculties across all public universities in Malaysia. And the first faculty was in a university called University Technology Malaysia. And now other universities, they did an alliance of AI. I think these things will continue, and in the coming years, to accelerate its 5G rollout and boost AI adoption at the same time and drive digital transformation, we envision 4 things. Continued AI 5G integration, sustainability as a core driver. Everybody talks about sustainability. I just came back from Doha, and Doha, we presented a proposal that we have come up with a 5G and enable AI-infused solution where every trees in the forest can be marked, and what carbon would that, in terms of carbon credit that it can engender, and how we can encash those carbon credit from forest. So I think this is a super application that we just came out of Malaysia. Education reforms, yes, we cannot have any more curriculum of yesteryears, like the use of tariff that is mid-80s tool to now. So it's like that. So education reform has to be done. We need to reform education to reflect the ground reality. Jensen, the guy, NVIDIA, right? He said that don't send your children to study coding anymore because ChatGPT can do it. It all based on how you guide them, right? So things have changed quite a bit. And cross-border collaboration. I think this is important for us in ASEAN, and we welcome every one of you to be part of this ASEAN journey. The next 2 years, it will be under the leadership of Malaysia, AI also, Anwar Ibrahim. He's also a deal maker. He does a lot of deals to make things happen. So he has some ambitious objectives as he has assumed the chairmanship. Not easy, but I think it's doable. Now, in closing, let me emphasize that we invite all of you, as I said, telecom operators, startups, cloud providers, venture capitalists, R&D institutions, come and collaborate with ASEAN and with Malaysia in particular, as our strategic advantages include location and market access. Remember, 680 million, very peaceful. We know how to talk. We know what diplomacy means. We don't go at the first instant try to push a button to missile each other. So this is ASEAN, very peaceful coexistence. Am I right? Yes. Okay. Just making sure my ASEAN friends are with me. Active neutrality. We have certain biases, but essentially we are neutral. Data infrastructure readiness, Johor, Penang, KL, and in other countries too. If you go to Singapore, it's massive. Thailand, they have. So these are the regional centers. Strong government and policy support. Like in Malaysia, we have like My Digital, TIPM, and we recently set up a national AI office. Still understanding what is their role, but anyway, the national AI office. So we are, whether you are looking to test new 5G AI solution, it's so intertwined for industry 4.0, pilot, sustainable, whatever, come to ASEAN. We are the gateway to innovation. Even some countries have started applying to join as at least a partner first with ASEAN. I did mention Bangladesh. They have formally submitted the application to join ASEAN. Then, of course, our ASEAN founding fathers have to say yes collectively, because we deal in a consensus basis. We are not happy trigger missile people. Okay. Let Mobile World Congress serve as a launchpad for a meaningful relationship. We welcome you. And again, I hope somebody is showing me 1 minute, so which means I have to end here. And again, please welcome to ASEAN. We are very peaceful people. We have robust policies. We collaborate together. Technologically, we are very, very all our leaderships are very focused on this, whether it's Vietnam, whether it's Thailand, of course Singapore, we're ahead, Malaysia and others. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Dr. Tatu. I think Dr. Tatu ignored the 1 minute for more than 10 minutes. Anyway, thank you for your very exciting selling the ASEAN to all of us. Okay, now let me introduce the next speaker, coming from Huawei. Of course, they help a lot of operators to support digital transformation in China. So let's invite Chonglin Chonglin Lee to talk about transformation from telco to techco in AI era, driving B2B growth. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, good afternoon. It's my honor to be here. I'm Li Chunli. My channel name is Li Chunli. You can call me Chunli Li. I'm from Huawei Technology. Today it's my honor to be here to introduce and share Huawei latest insight and share the strategic approach to drive the B2B transformation. Today, the topic I will present is that the transformation from the telco to telecom in AI era driving B2B service. And we know that we are in a major era. Digitalization is reshaping all the industry, and and AI also are changing everything. On the other side, the B2B customer are also changing very change or not? Sorry. Okay. From this slide, according to the record, we know that the B2B customer demand also changed or not for the traditional connectivity. For example, for the MP+ and fixed voice, the demands will decline in the future. But for the computer, for the complicated and advanced the connectivity, for example, for the connectivity and SD-WAN and the W-LAN, will still have some development. And on the other hand, for the LAN connectivity, for example, for the data center and the switch router and cyber security and meta security and ICT, the demands will grow very faster. So what's the chance for the carrier to drive the B2B service? Okay. According to the report, we know that for the B2B market, we have about the 80% increase every year to year. But totally for carrier in the B2B market, there are three market segments. One is for the private land. The second is for the SME market. The third is for the industry market. So based on this market share of the carrier, we can know that for the carrier. Advantage is the connectivity part. Still have the steady development in the future. But for the LAN connectivity service, for example, for the SME and industry market share, we have very big development. The digital the growth rate will be about two digital. So how to carrier to catch this chance to develop the, for example, for the SME and the industry market. Okay, as we mentioned that because the digitalization and the AI will change everything. So various requirements of the different industry will pose the higher requirement for the connectivity, for the network connectivity. So based on the advanced advantage ICT infrastructure, for example, for the 5G and IP and PON and FDR, OT, and Wi-Fi, the carrier can provide the flexible and agile, secure and high quality private LAN to drive the new growth in the private LAN market. Also, for the SME market, for the SME market, because we know that there are a lot of SME. So how to catch this? That's the carrier lead the one-stop ICT standard service to drive this large scale replication for the SME. So the carrier can integrate can increase its ICT capability. For example, for the platform, security, computing, storage together to provide one-stop ICT service. For the third part, for the industry LE market, for the market, because the requirement is very high. So the carrier can cooperate the ecosystem the partner to provide end-to-end the digital intelligence solution for this industry LE. Then we can get more revenue from the industry LE market. So what's the 5G play an important role for this three part B2B part? We will introduce one by one. Okay. So we first talk about the private line market part. Because according to the report from this slide, according to the report, we know that for the private line market still have about the 1.5 growth year to year. But according to this, we know that the carrier private line revenue will decrease the 2.7% year to year. Where the private line of the SP or OTT, the revenue private line will increase 6.9%. Why? There are two reasons. One is that for carrier, he deployed this private service is very slow. For example, for most of the carrier, maybe need three months to provision the private line. Also, the CapEx. The second reason is the OpEx is here. So how to do? What's the way out? So for carrier, can leverage the 5G advantage. For example, in the bandwidth, large bandwidth, large acceleration and low latency can leverage the 5G private line plus add-on VAS added on demand that can provide the differentiated 5G private line to get the new growth for the private line market. And also for the operator leverage advantage, the carrier can use only one device for different scenario. Maybe it's one SIM card with subscription. Maybe it's only one CPU, or maybe it's one AR for different scenario to deploy the 5G private line. So it can reduce. Reduce the deploy time and quickly GTM. Okay. And this slide we will show one successful story for Finland operator D to leverage the 5G to launch the differential 5G front line to drive the B2B service. And in Finland, the operator D focus three scenario. One is the small enterprise, for example, for the design company, and the second is the medium enterprise, for example, for the construction site. The third is Chin Super. For these three scenarios, have different requirements for the network. So based on this network and the requirement, the operator D develop the differential 5G private line offering to meet the customer requirement. So for the small company, can only provide one SIM card with 5G subscription. For the second part, only provide FA. For the third part, we can provide the 5G plus ID1 to provide the super fast and fiber-like experience connection. Then he can drive. All this will drive the customer to catch the B2B service. Okay, and now we go to the second B2B market for the SME market. And here we also we will show one successful story for carrier how to win in the market, in the SME market, because we know that and this is one operator for the UAE, for the UAE operator, operator D, because he's the second licensed operator in UAE. He always in the disadvantage the competition in the market because his fixed network coverage is worse than his competitor. So how to catch drive the more market share? So it's necessary for operator to drive this market, to drive the market. So the operator D uses 5G, leverage the 5G technology to launch the 5G. To launch the 5G private line to drive this market. So and after this, we can know that after this, his cost reduced by 30%, and the provisioning time also reduced. So all this drive the cavity, the SME market drive from the 15% in 2021 to 40% in 24, and after this, since then, the operator D further optimized its offering with the based on the 5G private line plus the more service add on demand. For example, for the Wi-Fi, for the campus coverage, for the security, and also for some application together, he can expand his service from the private line to corporate one coverage. Then all this have driven his market revenue 5%. Okay, now we go to the LE market for the carrier. Because we know, as per this report, we know that the industry LE account for 60% investment of the all B2B market. Also, for this market, the requirement also is very flexible, also very need the high standard, and based on the carrier requirement, they have two modes for carrier to do this market. One is that for the 5G resource, because we know that 5G can leverage 3 or 10 times revenue. So for carrier can take 5G as stepping stone to achieve the B2B continuous growth. There are two modes. Two solutions to do the 5G closed loop business. Okay, one is the 5G wide area private network. Okay, let's talk about these two solutions one by one. The first one for the 5G wide area, we can based on the public infrastructure, we can launch this service very quickly. Also very no cost. For this solution, we can suggest the carrier to focus on the agricultural transformation and smart city and health cost with the public policy and budget support. For the 5G campus private network, because the key for the large scale application is the value use case and SI and based on the global experience, I know there are 3 SI modes. One is the local operator as SI, local equipment vendor as SI, and the third is for the international operator as SI. Okay, and make a conclusion and transformation for carrier, transformation to the telecom, driving the B2B service, totally have 3 ways. One is based on the network the carrier can provide a differential connectivity. The second, for the SME part, it can converge the ICT capability to provide one-stop standard product portfolio. For the third, cooperate with the ecosystem partner, can provide one and to end the digital and intelligence service. Okay, and in the future, while we will invest more in technology, for example, for the connectivity and computing and AI technology to help carrier to develop the B2B service. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. So, sorry, we have some delay, but we try to catch up. So next, we have a very honor to have a panel with two speakers coming from Thailand and also Singapore. Let me introduce Network Chai, the head of enterprise marketing in AIS, the leading operator in Thailand, and also Sebastian Tan, the SVP from ST Engineering. Okay, it's okay. So quickly, maybe just ask each of our speakers to introduce themselves. Sebastian, talk about your role, your company, and why we relate to 5G.
Yeah. A very good afternoon to have everybody here. Sebastian from Singapore. So I'm from SD Engineering. We are a company that focus on aerospace, as well as also in defense, public security, and in the smart cities. So we have business, we are publicly listed in Singapore. We have about 30,000 staff strength, primarily in ASEAN, as well as also we have our JV Co and M&A entity company in both Europe and in Americas as well. Thank you.
Yeah, over to you, Network Chai.
My name is Network Chai. I'm from AAS. We are one of the leading mobile network operator in Thailand. We gain about 50% market share in Thai market. I'm responsible for B2B marketing as a head of enterprise marketing. I'm responsible to accelerate 5G adoption in Thailand.
Thank you. So first question, actually, AIS have been roll out 5G how many years? 4 years?
About 5 years already.
5 years already, okay. So back to the journey, and then you roll out before pandemic and then while pandemic. So how do you make the market aware this 5G technology during this difficult timing?
Yes. Unfortunately, as we did have the 5G spectrum in 2020, in February, which is the same month of the first case of COVID-19 in Thailand. And we experienced the lockdown period for about 1 year. So let's say that we classify our 5G acceleration program into 3 phases. The first phase, during 2020 to 2021, we rapidly built our 5G infrastructure, like 5G network coverage, 5G edge computing, so on and so forth, in order to serve not only B2B customer, but also for B2C customer. Meanwhile, we also educated our enterprise customer to aware about 5G benefit for their vertical or for their businesses. Then in 2020, 5G is still very new for the enterprise customer. So we have to educate them by hosting a lot of webinar, hosting a lot of white paper to educate the use case of 5G elsewhere from developed countries like China, Japan, Korea, in order to educate them. The second phase, in order to serve B2B segment, we have to build 5G platform or related function of 5G in order to serve their requirement. So we develop 5G private network capability, network slicing capability, so on and so forth. And we also implement Singtel Paragon platform in order to develop community of 5G application developer in Thailand. Luckily, COVID gone in 2022-23, so we can develop the ecosystem for 5G use cases during the period of time. And in parallel, we also do a lot of POC, pilot project with our enterprise customer from various verticals. And the third phase of our 5G development would be in 2024 till now. We started to monetize, commercialize, and we get a lot of traction from our focus verticals.
Thank you, Network Chai. I know they did a lot of digital transformation to support container port, hospital, warehouse, and manufacturing. We can talk about later. Sebastian, I think ST Engineering, according to what we make the study or report for ST Engineering, you are the first one to deploy 5G in your own factory in Singapore, right? Can you share about your how 5G really reshaped the global industry? Which sector adopting faster, and what are the experience? What are the most profound transformation?
Well, I think this goes back to pre-COVID. I think everybody has standard norms of doing things, status quo. And what comes out is what happened during the COVID is there's a disruption. And a lot of businesses like our company try to evolve. And we realize that with the traditional setup that we have, where you look at the infrastructure that we have, it's very difficult to shift from one business to another readily. It takes a long time to do it. And with the disruption of COVID and lockdown and so on and so forth, the supply chain being disrupted, you realize that you cannot do the same norm. So come post-COVID, a lot of businesses start to pivot. They pivot into digitization to allow them to use technology so that they can go to market faster, and they are able to also reconfigure their business readily without much needs of massive time and investment and also supply to be able to enable the execution of their strategy. So in our business, as I mentioned to you, we are into the MRO, the maintenance, repair and operation. We are into shipbuildings, and also we're into electronic production. So what happens is that when we go into COVID period, we try to pivot into another business because business is shut down. We need to move into production of not electronic but something else. For example, mask wearing. We realize we cannot because of the production line that we have in a very traditional setup. So when it comes to post-COVID, we realize that in 2023, when the market start opening up, we have to start moving into the new era of manufacturing, advanced manufacturing. In the manufacturing space, we have what we call the high value, low volume, or the high volume, low value production. Now, for 5G itself, I think for everybody who know, people are looking at ways of how do I monetize from a telco perspective. For a business, what is the ROI for me? So typically, in the high value, low volume space, this is where the monetization will happen because the payback is there. What we have done is, from the manufacturing perspective, we go what we call lights on, lights off, or lights out, meaning that we automate the process. We start the journey 3 years ago. We make a plan to invest, and the plan is what happens if COVID were to strike again of a similar nature. What do we do next? We need to prepare for that. And with that, we start looking into our people, processes, and tools, and the business that we want to get into, and how do we make ready, refresh our infrastructure and our investment. So we work with the telco operator to start wiring out mobility first. So we start looking at the infrastructure that we need to. Then we also start bringing in applications that we have, our production applications that we do on the ground. We actually move it into the edge so that we have diversity. Yeah? And then the last but not least, also we bring in AI. I think everybody now talk about ChatGPT, generative AI. The latest buzzword now is AGI. Is what we call the artificial general intelligence. So things are coming into place. We have replaced our dependency of on human labor. We have actually started bringing in autonomous mobile robot. We bring in also vision analytics, looking at production line, the quality control, so that we ensure that our production will continue to sustain, to be able to produce with minimum wastages, and also to be on time. And also, the other part of what we have done is reskilling the people. We start preparing them in terms of moving them out into other areas for redeployment and minimize the reliance of human labor on the ground. So what we see is, going forward, because of the supply chain sustainability or diversity, we will see that this is going to be continuing the way forward. People are going to invest on dual supplier strategy, and because of that, there's going to be a duplication of such similar setup. And with that, that brings the opportunity, and this is where I think technology and digitization, together with 5G and AI conversion, will help to drive this into fruition.
Yeah, I think you are very right. Actually, now many enterprise or government they are prepared. Another epidemic may become. So yeah, really have to use the technology. So back to Leverchai. So far, what are the challenge and lesson learned from you when you help the enterprise to deploy private network, like manufacturing, mining, transportation that you have done? Share us some good cases and how to commercial them in Thailand.
Sure. I think the challenges that we experience is the first one, 5G adoption very fragmented. There are multiple use cases, right? As you noticed from the gentleman from Malaysia, he mentioned a lot of use cases from various technology from various verticals. So the first one key takeaway would be you should be very focused. Because in Thailand, we have about 70% of GDP contribution from export. So AS, we chose a few verticals that related to export. The first one is manufacturing. Second one is transportation and logistics. And last but not least, we chose government, public safety, so on and so forth. So we found that manufacturing adopt 5G very well and very fast. And we can provide them some data point that can easily justify the use case for each industry. So we focus in a few verticals initially. Secondly, we need to understand the domain knowledge in each industry. So we not only hire the expert from each industry, but we also partner with key players in those verticals, and we work hand in hand with them in order to justify the investment for our customer. So the second one would be the justification of investment. Last but not least, I think we need to accelerate how we're gonna monetize. And in order to accelerate how to monetize, I think we must have the more use cases, data point to educate our customer in order to skip the process of POC or pilot try, so on and so forth. And we also have set a center of excellence for the customer to try 5G network, to bring their application to be tested with our 5G technology and help them, I would say, accelerate the way to approve the project in their organization.
I see. But still, I heard a lot of challenge. Still, a lot of enterprise not yet transformed with 5G yet. So, Sebastian, look at other perspective. So, for enterprise, do you see any shift when you engage them in the mindset or their strategy or their organization structure, which are necessary, to accelerate the adaptation of 5G?
Well, I think it's all around the business case. We all have been talking about what's the payback when you go into investment. Is it something that enabled me from my execution of my strategy? I can differentiate my time to market, my go to market against my competition, or is it something that helped me to improve my bottom line? I think the use of technology and adoptions, be it 5G or AI, has to come into these twofold. Now, when we look into 5G itself, just like we have gone through many, just like Industry 1.0 to now we are in Industry 4.0, 5.0 going to it. We need to take the baby step. Some 10 years, more than 14 years ago, we were going through the cloud journey, and then people now is cloud first. Everybody have to go through that learning phase. So from the learning from an enterprise perspective, I think we cannot, it's not one size fit all. It's not something that we can do immediately and we can get to the end. There are definitely be bound for failure. What is important, it has to have both a top-down and a bottom-up. So in our company, what we, as a business critical success factor and as a strategy, there's 4 areas that we focus into. Number 1, we must be cloud. We must embrace cloud. And then from cloud perspective, so that we will continue to innovate using cloud technology. Number 2 is security. So that we ensure that all our data, our customer data, our own data, proprietary IP informations are Then the other thing we also talk about will be about AI. We need to be advancing in AI, using AI to help us improve our processes. Last but not least, with all this add into the threefold, the last pillar will be connectivity. And we see 5G as one of our key enablers for our business to go forward. So with the top-down strategy laid down from the board to the to the CEO down to the various line of business, then from bottom-up, we put in our investment going forward in the 3 to 5 years, where we want from our people, process, and tools we're going to get there to achieve there. We will have a business roadmap that we put into place, and by phases, by every year, we monitor the investment that we want to put in and what the yield we are getting back. For example, the transformation of our advanced manufacturing, it's a multi-year plan. We are into our 3rd year, and we have capital expenditure and operation expenditure already budgeted to go this transformation, so that we can track and also execute and also navigate in terms of the challenges that we have. It is not easy. We understand that 5G is still something relatively new, if you're aware, and the mainstream of 5G is now coming into age after 2015, where you have the 5G NSA, 5G trial, and then you have the NSA of the 4G enhanced, and then now the 5G standalone, right? So this will take another few more years to materialize, and I think that is the management must have the patience to actually work with the organization to execute this journey of transformation to fruition.
Okay, thank you. I think we are running out of time because of the previous session, so I have to cut here for this panel. Thank you again for your insight. Feel free to networking with them later. So now, next, I would like to introduce. Thank you. I would like to move to the public sector and transportation. So first speaker is from 5GA, Maxi Fatman, the CTO of 5G Automotive Association. He's talking about the cutting-edge innovation and development in the automotive and transportation industry. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Terence. Thanks for the invitation. It's not the first time I actually present in this setup, and then I really appreciate being able to reach out to the APAC community. So my slide, I have quite a lot of slides, and I don't want to take too much of the time. I already realize that we are delayed, so I will skip some slides, and so you bear with me. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, so just to introduce 5GA, it's an association that is global, across industry, putting together. It's basically the place where automotive comes and meets the telcos and express their needs, express where they would like to be in a few years, and what are the gaps, for example, in terms of standards, what are the gaps in terms of policy, what are the gaps also in terms of deployment on the grounds in different regions. Yeah, so Control L then. Control L? No? Is that, yeah, so I just want to start from the beginning. So, and so we are about 110 members, as I said, global. We started about 8 years ago, and we now are, I would say, becoming a voice for bringing connected vehicles to the world, to the different markets. We, as 5GA, we are not very active in the APAC, except for China, for these bigger markets, but the ones that we have mentioned earlier, we just want to, if there is any questions, we want to help and promote the connected vehicles ecosystem. One tool that we use is a roadmap of use cases that we consult constantly with our members, and these members they are telling us, okay, what do they expect to put when on the market in with regards to the status of the standards, with regards to the status of the technology, and also with regards to also what the policy frameworks are allowing to do. And so we use that roadmap also to create a set of topics that are core to our discussions, strategic topics, which are then building up our work program. And so we are deeply engaging with these different topics, and then typically working on technical reports, technical specifications, or even proof of concepts and demonstrations, etc. So the topics here, there are 9, I think, put together here, starting from the roadmap that is more towards making sure that we capitalize on already what has been done so far in terms of warning the drivers about potential dangers. So we typically talk about local hazard warnings, vulnerable road users or bicyclists or pedestrians awareness. Typically these warnings are coming to the driver, and the driver has to then react to it. And so for these, there are different technologies. We are using, of course, the mobile network, but we are also using the short-range communication, 3GPP called PC5, and different flavors of PC5 are available around the world. And I'm going to give a little bit of a background on this. I will skip a few slides, because I wanted to focus on different topics, but I don't think we will have time. So one on the use of the mobile network, and then the integration to the non-terrestrial network. That's also some big topic for the automotive at the moment. Bringing the satellite communication and making sure that we expand or make sure that we have a minimum coverage of connectivity, so that we can always have this reliance or rely on the connectivity with the minimum set of data. And then in terms of day one services, we are looking at local hazard warnings. Where we are trying really to make a difference is that this comes across the board everywhere in the world with information about traffic hazards, and that these traffic hazards are not necessarily generated only by cameras along the roads, but also generated by the information that is collected from the cars, and that's also an important aspect. So this crowdsourcing of all the information that can improve safety. Now, in terms of the direct component, I wanted to browse through the different regions, and Terence, you asked me to get more clarity about this. And so I will start with the US parts. US has been having some challenges in terms of allocation of the bands for the direct communication in the 5.9 gigahertz. So as you may know, 10 years ago it was all about DSRC, IEEE technology. Now over the years we have shifted towards the 3GPP technologies using LTE V2X, release 14, 15 direct communication. This crystallized into a report and order that was published by the FCC only a few months ago, and then also a deployment plan put together by the US DOT. And so out of this, then now we are all more or less set up in terms of seeing this short-range communication coming to the market in the US. The way that this is triggered is mostly through initiatives from the different cities and implementations at the intersections, and then also another angle to it is to use also wherever necessary or wherever possible also the mobile network connectivity to also bring some of the information that is pertinent to the different use cases. Now, for the launch of V2X Direct, so I listed all the different countries that really we believe are the ones that are adopting the technologies here. So US I mentioned, China is the pioneer in terms of adoption of LTE V2X direct communication. They are even integrating into the C-NCAP, China NCAPs. That means that tests are being done so that the LTE V2X technology can really make a difference and gain more safety points. Korea has allocated 20 megahertz for LTE V2X direct. Japan is investigating because they already have some services that are running at 760 megahertz. So 5.9 gigahertz is under investigation. And the last on the block is India, which recently, since 2020, December 2023, they have published a key paper for the government laying down how they want to adopt LTE-V2X PC5, and so this is going to ramp up relatively fast with start of productions that are already looked at in the coming year. And in terms, I put here on the right side a best practice because I really see that there is a common vector in all these. Is whenever you have an alignment between ministries about V2X, then suddenly things are unlocking themselves. Synergies between the network and the direct communication. So not saying one against the other, but really looking at both as the two pieces of the same coin. And then having clear governmental deployment plans. Spectrum allocation has been key in these countries also. And then, of course, OEM commitments. Whenever you have an OEM that is taking the lead, taking the flag, it becomes a reality. And then the final one on NCAP has been also key. Europe, unfortunately, from the direct point of view, has been a little bit challenging because Volkswagen has already deployed IEEE technology. So they have about 1.5 million cars that are already having this technology, and therefore 10 megahertz of the band is already used by Volkswagen. Now we have proposed band plans for using then NR-V2X PC5, so the release 16, 17, 18. And so we are pushing now that forward in the time frame of 27, 29. Okay, then the last three that I wanted to, is more innovative is the use of V2X inside the car for automated driving systems, and that's something that is another level of complexity, especially when we are talking about ASIL graded kind of systems, which are then intervening, for example, for automated emergency braking. And so the first one that which was seen as a lower hanging fruit is but still very, very important, is the use of motion control messages by third parties inside the car. So that means motion control basically is now becoming a standard. So these messages are dictating the speed and the direction of the cars. They are fully feasible with most of the cars, so it doesn't need a full set of sensors. It doesn't need level 4 automation. It just so from some sensors that are equipped around the vicinity where we want to do the vehicle marshalling. We just vehicle marshalling of valet parking is the same, but then basically dictating where the car has to go. And we have integrated also functional safety principles along these, so that there is a confidence that it's not going to lead to unreasonable risks. The second example of V2X into ADAS is into NCAP. I mentioned it. So NCAP wants to, or says that if you don't involve the V2X information for automated maneuvers, then they see that the impact on safety is very, very minor. So therefore, they would really want that the V2X intervenes into the safety, the automation intervention of the car. And we from that point of view, we are promoting the concept of soft intervention. So soft intervention would mean that you bring it into you intervene ahead of a potential problem, but only with a softer kind of modification of the speed, etc. And that is done in terms of de-escalating risks. Okay, thank you. And then finally, the last one is about collective perception and all the trust that comes with collective perception. So when you have a third-party sensor on the roadside that is providing you information about, there is a pedestrian going here, how the car actually takes this information and actually trusts it towards an automated driving maneuver. And that's not clear completely how how this is going to be done at an operation at a full-scale level. Of course, you can do it in a test track. You can do it in a nice environment. But if you really want the vehicle manufacturers to embrace this technology, there are still some steps to take. And with this, I thank you very much, and I hope it was not too long. So thank you.
Thank you, Max. I think it's a very good overview on the progress on using the V2X technology and also very solid cases we're seeing right now. Next, let us move to the public safety section. So we are very happy to have three speakers joining us for this section. Kelvin Graham, the CEO of TCCA, Scott Agnew, the president of FirstNet from by AT&T, and Jeff Batra, the deputy executive director from FirstNet.
Thank you. I'll keep this nice and quick. I think most of you, how many know more about GSMA, APAC, and 5G industry partnership? So we're really pleased that we're part of this group. For those that may not be aware, our involvement is across all of the critical industry sectors, and clearly partnering with the groups and peer associations is an important part. And we, like other associations, work across a number of layers to bring about the change necessary. And in our particular sectors, bring the 4G, 5G capability to first-line workers and organisations. And it's really with great pleasure we welcome our colleagues from the US. But we're going to obviously go through some of the partnering they've done to bring about some magnificent changes to the public safety community in the US. And we'll then be having a panel that will show some of the other jurisdictions that are down the runway. Some are about to take off, and some are just ready at the steering wheel there. So, and I think also the discussion around the standards and all of the policy work that needs to prevail for these government MNO partnerships to exist. So, with that, I'm going to hand over to Scott and Jeff to explain their journey and their partnering.
Sure thing. So I can kick off here. Again, my name's Jeff Bratcher, Deputy Executive Director for the FirstNet Responder Authority, First Responder Network Authority. Let me get that right. So we are a government entity in the United States that was created by legislation in 2012. That public safety in the United States fought to get the law and the funding to create this out of the 9/11 attacks that happened in 2001. It was one of the last remaining items out of the 9/11 Commission report for dedicated spectrum for a dedicated nationwide network for first responders. So the law was passed in 2012. In 2016, we put out a request for proposal after consulting with all 56 states and territories in the United States. The two key assets that FirstNet was given for this project was a nationwide license of spectrum in 700 megahertz. It's called Band 14. And we were also given $7 billion from future spectrum auctions to get the funding to start this program. So in 2016, we issued an RFP to industry, full and open competition within the United States. And we chose AT&T based on their response and what they brought to the table as part of this partnership. So the legislation required us to be self-sustaining as well. We get zero tax dollars. In the current climate, zero tax dollars. We are self-sustaining based on the business model with AT&T and delivering this network for first responders. AT&T has the exclusive right to use our Band 14 spectrum in the United States to build the network for FirstNet as well as use it commercially. So that's the high-level introduction. I'm going to pause there and let Scott give you the perspective from the MNO side with AT&T.
Thanks, Jeff. Again, Scott Agnew, president of AT&T FirstNet. Big clarify, not FirstNet. And glad to be here. And it's been an 8-year journey. At the end of this month, this network will be 8 years old. We have 6.7 million subscribers. Nobody is required to subscribe to the network. They have to choose. And of course, there are commercial carriers in the US that have public safety offerings. It's overwhelming. FirstNet is the market share leader. But there's reasons why, and it's because of this successful public-private partnership. First and foremost, the network was built for, by, and with public safety. Everything that we do within the network is basically consulted with the authority, consulted with public safety, and then implemented. For example, each state, as Jeff was mentioning, had to opt in, 56 states and territories. We had to build incremental sites for them to actually opt in, 1,200 incremental sites, because they needed coverage in specific locations that carriers weren't delivering. We had to bring in rural areas that just had never received coverage. There are tribes in the United States that have coverage for the first time, making cell phone calls for the first time because of the network. So everything is directed by the authority and at the discretion of public safety as we continue to evolve. We just recently announced in February of last year $8.5 billion reinvestment. So sustainable, again, no taxpayer dollars. That's just the business cycle between AT&T and the authority. $8.5 billion will be going back into the network. A couple $1 billion will be going towards cell sites, just expanding coverage. The network already has 250,000 more square miles covered than any other network, and that is because of the investment from the authority. So this public-private, and then on top of everything AT&T is doing as a commercial carrier, we're building for our customers, and we're also building for the authority and public safety, so it amplifies everything. So the partnership, the one word you would use is scale. FirstNet Authority is leveraging AT&T, AT&T is leveraging FirstNet Authority, and we're maximizing scale, and it's winning for public safety.
Yeah, I would add to that as part of the analysis when the legislation was created, this was going to be about a $40 to $50 billion greenfield network if we were to build it on our own for a public safety dedicated. The legislation said to use, to the extent possible, existing infrastructure. So it was obvious we needed to partner with a tier 1 carrier like AT&T in the United States. That's how we got to that 40 to 50 billion. So $6.5 billion we put on the initial 5-year, 6-year build out of the contract. We completed that in March of 2023. And then those reinvestments and payments, $18 billion over 25 years is how we're self-sustaining. Critical part of this, we're also governed by a board. We have a 15-member board that oversees the FirstNet operations, and as Scott mentioned, driving that public safety input on the needs for the network. And there are differentiated needs for public safety communications versus what you get in a typical mobile network. You think the push-to-talk capabilities, something I'm proud of, I know Scott's proud of, is the response operations group. So we have a dedicated fleet of SAT Colts, over 100 assets now, that is free for the FirstNet subscribers to call if they need portable cell sites at events, in disaster areas, and that's at no cost to the first responders. That's all built into our deal with AT&T. There's applications they can use to request those. Scott and their team triages all the requests and sends the appropriate assets out. Scott mentioned our reinvestment. So as part of this self-sustaining in 2020, let me back up. We launched with the 4G LTE core, leveraging a shared RAN on a MOCN scenario. We have our own dedicated core, right, Scott? For FirstNet, for all the FirstNet traffic, leveraging our band and also the all bands of LTE that AT&T had. That was a worldwide first. All the carriers told us when we were doing RFPs before the legislation was passed, they would not do priority preemption on their commercial spectrum. AT&T stepped up to the plate and first in the world to do this, and now we're working with a lot of our other partners across the world. We're seeing those same features now on that spectrum. So in 2020, we upgraded our core to non-standalone 5G. And now we're as Scott mentioned, we just announced our investments last year to go to full 5G standalone, transition our band 14 spectrum from LTE to new radio, and add additional capabilities for the 5G mission critical services suite of standards. I'll take a pause there.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful part of the relationship because you're going to have to continuously evolve these public networks, right? Go from 4G to 5G, right? And leveraging the band 14 dedicated spectrum, which is on LT right now. AT&T has a huge swath of spectrum, and we basically said priority on all 4G and 5G for public safety. Public safety comes first. That gives the authority time for us to build the right standalone core, proven for public safety with the right features, while we still have phenomenal band 14 spectrum coverage reliability on LTE, and then we migrate over. It's continuity of operations, it's scale. Public safety always gets the best condition. And the way we operate it right now, in a sunny day scenario, public safety is getting their 5G speeds that they need. When it's not a sunny day and they need connectivity, they're using their band 14 LTE and they're getting connectivity. And I can tell you, the beautiful part about this relationship is really that it's built for and by public safety and also the oversight the authority has. Anything we say, it's not marketing. We have to do it, right? There's hundreds of reports we're giving on a monthly basis justifying if something doesn't meet a standard that we've committed to, we have to adjudicate it. We have to fix it. It's not just marketing saying this is the best thing ever. We've got 4 nines RAN, 5 nines core, security operations center requirements, mitigate any type of threats. We have to make sure, we talked about response operations group. We responded to 2,500 last year, and it's growing. We expect about 3,000 this year. We're accountable to be there within 14 hours, right? To be there for public safety at no cost. So it doesn't matter if it's 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, AT&T has to deliver. So that's there.
Yeah, it's the old Ronald Reagan quote, trust but verify. So that's part of the oversight with the FirstNet Authority, my staff, as well as that reinvestment and roadmap for those key public safety features that we're driving into the network. One thing maybe I'd highlight, Scott, is our SAT to cell and some of that that's happening soon. If you want to touch on that, that's an exciting development.
Yeah, it's really changed our operations of our company. It's so important to our DNA that we lead with public safety first. Everything we do, a disaster response. And our product innovation, direct to cellular is here, right? It's coming. Everybody's making their choices right now. We've known about this for 7 years. We've been developing, and we've been developing it with FirstNet first in mind, right? It's just not gonna be a roaming relationship. Public safety is not gonna be able to trust their connectivity just roaming on a random provider. We're launching with integrated into our core with priority, with capabilities well beyond just text capabilities, because we know public safety needs that. So it's changing, how we operate. We're looking at things such as technology. We just announced a new mega range product. That's Power Class 1. We're the only carrier, or Band 14 is the only area for Power Class 1. So we're innovating on devices, making devices affordable. What's Power Class 1 device do for you? Increases power by up to 6 times. So that device provides the best coverage. It just expands. So we're continuing to innovate with satellite devices, and then as Jeff mentioned earlier, mission critical. We're the first to launch mission critical, but we love what some folks in this room are doing, and we're learning from you too. We're glad your networks are coming, because we believe we need to be completely interoperable and use a true mission critical standard, which we have, but we're going to continue to evolve.
8 years in and they're still happily married. Great to see.
It's 8 years, 8-year anniversary.
So amazing, and we also thank them for the sharing that they've been doing across the world. This is a really specialised area, and when you've got 6'5", huge policemen, you need to really get it right, right?
Exactly. They will hold
All
you
five.
accountable, yes.
Look, it's with pleasure I'll introduce the panel that will follow on, and Tero, our Vice Chair, has been able to join us in Mobile World Congress this year. Thanks again to GSMA for inviting Tero. Yeah. So thanks to Jeff and Scott. They'll be around, and you never know, Tero may end up passing some questions to them in the audience. It's happened before. So Tero Personen is also our chair of the Critical Communications Broadband Working Group we have. And I'll hand over to Tero to introduce the panel and the experts we have here.
Excellent. Yes, indeed, my name is Tero Pesinen. I'm the board vice chair. My home organization is Erillisverkot, the Finnish public safety operator. Please take your seats and let's start moving. The name of the panel is Exploration of the Policies, Technologies and Business Models for Private Networks in the Public Sector. In order for you to know what we talk about, let's give you first couple definitions so that we have a common understanding of the words here. So first of all, private network here is considered as a non-consumer service. Non-consumer service allowing the existence of virtual private networks via commercial mobile networks. Please note if you still agree. Secondly, public sector in this panel comprises of PPDR, public protection and disaster relief, so public safety and fire and rescue and so on. Potentially with some defense flavor, as defense is typically in a lot of countries the party that is called for help when something major, logistics and so on are required. Critical infrastructure such as energy and water, and transport such as railways. So that's now public sector, right? Then the third one, the technology focus here, we focus on 3GPP, LTE and onwards. So we are not touching 3G, we are not touching 2G, and we are not touching any of the narrowband technologies or none or any technology which is not standardized. Is that okay as well? All right, fair, good. So let's get to it. Well, we heard about 4G, 5G transition with FirstNet. Thank you very much, Scott and Jeff, for setting the scene, as well as you touched the non-terrestrial networks thing which is coming up. So, Isam, city of Etsi 3GPP is your bread and butter. Thank you very much for being here. So, how about you? Where are we with 3GP standardization for public sector, remembering the definition, and how have we got there? That's first part, and maybe so or at the same time you could address why the standards are kind of important in the first place.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Tero. It's a real pleasure to be with you today. How we got here, let me start with this. It started, I think, around 2010 when the TCCA and Critical Communications approached the 3GPP leadership and started discussions on how can we actually get our requirements addressed by 3GPP. It wasn't easy at first because we have two words not necessarily talking the same language. So that was the first hurdle to get over with and understand the requirements. But eventually we got there. I think we have a very good success with critical communications in 3GPP. It opened the door for other verticals, by the way. But there were a lot of lessons that were learned by other verticals. And it started with first creating a group which was dedicated in 3GPP to critical communications, SA6, was addressing the needs of this, if I call it vertical. Since release 13, we have been these requirements addressed with first MCPGT, and then release 14 we had enhancement to MC data and video, and continue. So from a standard point of view, I think today we have a mature standard which is being deployed and being used. But standards is only one piece of the puzzle. It's an ecosystem. We start with standardization, but then we have also to make sure that the standard is actually clear, it's well implemented. So what we do in Etsy is we also have block tests. So we organize these events where companies come, get together in an event. We had actually one just last week in Texas, the 9th MCX plug test, where companies come together for interop and try their implementations against each other. And then there is also, of course, the certification. So, and we all know about the joint efforts TCCA and GSF are putting on advancing that aspect as well. So, in summary, we are, I think, in good shape from a standard point of view. But this doesn't stop here. We are continuing. We have enhancements that are essential for mission critical. So SideLink is part of the release 19 and is progressing very well. This is not necessarily only for mission critical, but we mentioned NTN. I think for coverage and for resilience, it's extremely important. So we are already having a mature standard, but it is continuing. Why standards are important? Many reasons. First of all, I mentioned interoperability. I think this is one of the most important reasons where we do standards. When we buy devices, equipments from different vendors, we want to make sure that they work together. And then economies of scale. This is very important to build an ecosystem that we make equipments which are affordable, and standards do serve that very well.
Yeah, absolutely. On the last point, what I'd like to highlight that if we look at the entire critical communication sector in the world, maybe we are something like 0.1 billion users compared to the consumers over 7 or 8, whatever it is by now. So we really have to have one voice, focus, and standards are the only way to justify the investments and enable the societies to be safe. So thank you very much for the work you do there. That brings me to business models. And Prefect Lambert, welcome. At ACMOS, the public safety operator, I would say, in France, the RRF. So you have a multi-operator model there. Would you be able to contribute on that one, and how is it and why, and what's the business model there? And once you are done, then Antti Kauppinen, Erillisverkot CTO, perhaps you present another business model and give a little bit comparison. See, with the intention to say that, look, one size doesn't necessarily fit all, but the objective is the same.
Thank you, Terrell. So Guillaume Lambert for France. In France, we've created a government operator called ACMOS, as Terrell said. And this operator is based on the full MVNO model. We therefore operate directly our core network and our M6 application server while being able to use the 4G, 5G radio access network of our commercial carriers, as well as 4G or 5G private network set up in critical infrastructure. So that's the main idea. The goal is to give access to the total coverage in 4G and 5G to our end users. This business model is based on the commercial carrier rules that, just like in the US, our goal is self-sustainability and through the fees paid by the subscriber. So, of course, at first we are funded by the French government, but our goal is to provide them with affordable services to get this self-sustainability, in a 3 years' time. That's, our framework. And,
I guess we are not that far off from France or US. Basically, we own and operate our own core. We also do MOC and like the US, but we own and operate in-house. We are a government-owned special purpose company, much like FirstNet, the agency, but we are a special purpose company. When the government was making decision to move forward, it was decided that we would primarily use one operator because the operators sort of saw that they would anyway have to invest in the system, and since we are so small number of subscribers, we will have eventually, or in the narrowband that we currently use, still to a degree we have 50,000 subscribers, and the total number of broadband subscribers in Finland is 10 million, much more than inhabitants of Finland. So for that number of subscribers to be split among 3 operators would be even more difficult financially than it is now. That said, we had a public procurement and we selected one national operator, but for availability reasons, we do have only our subscribers in Finland have the right to do national roaming. That's something that we are ramping up now. So should our primary operator fail for some reason, then our subscribers would migrate into 2 of the other networks in Finland. We also charge our customers to use our system. We do get some direct funding from the government so that the price is sort of low enough. It is mandatory to use our service, but of course there are gray areas which they can choose whether to use it or not. I wouldn't mind it to be directly funded from the government, but I do get the point of when the service actually has a price, the end users sort of think whether I need it actually or not, or should I just use something else or not use at all. So that's where we're at.
Right, thanks. A follow-up question, just to make sure that we all understand, like who are the ones that can actually use the service and who are those that can benefit, and just to find out if there's some difference between France and Finland here.
I guess not. The scope of our end users was fixed by the legislation. We are dedicated to public safety, so the scope of the end users goes from the police, armed forces to EMS, firefighters, passing through customs and justice department and so on. So the total amount of end users in France shall be between 300,000 and 500,000 users.
Yeah. How about Finland? Any extensions?
Yeah, I guess one thing that, I don't know, maybe it is a user group also in France, but something that we see critical is the critical infra. They use our services, data services. We have realized in Finland as a society that we are not just dependent on the guys who work green or the guys who have blue lights on the roof. We also need water and electricity, etc. And even Department of Education could use it for security purposes. But of course the majority is the classic public safety, if you will. But whatever makes the society safer and the people to be safe, they can basically use it. You can sort of find it in the legislation, the way it's written.
Right. One final question to you on this subject: that what's the importance of standards and the certification on the conformance?
Oh, that's paramount because since we chose a technology based on LTE platform and new radio platform, we do need to be fully compliant, in terms of interface components with the one used by the carriers. So that's key.
Thank you. So also inviting everyone else to believe in the mantra, stick into the standards. With this, actually, let's move on to the technology side. Brianna, you are from NIST, Public Safety Communications Research PSCR, so PSCR, please note that. So what are you doing in the technology research sector for public safety right now, and what are the challenges you're facing.
Thank you, Tero. Brianna Hiddle from, as Tero mentioned, NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology within the United States. PSCR within NIST is conducting research and development looking 5 to 15 years out into the future. So actually looking at kind of the pre-standardization phase of research and development in a myriad of areas, including mission critical voice, ensuring that the capabilities of land mobile radio make it onto LTE devices at the quality of experience that's required by public safety, as well as looking at the interoperability between land mobile radio and LTE devices for the period of time that both are in use. We also conduct research in location-based services, and specifically we're focused on indoor tracking, mapping, and navigation in an infrastructure-free environment. So without the use of smart buildings or sensors implemented, can a first responder show up to a building and can we track their location on the X, Y, and Z axis down to the 1 meter level. Our other primary focus area is in user interface, user experience. So how can public safety interact with broadband data in a way that meets their operational requirements? Knowing that as commercial users, we're able to pinch and swipe on our devices, public safety doesn't have that capability when they're crawling around on a floor or needing to maintain eye contact, perhaps with a potential suspect. How can we design interfaces that meet their needs? So using technologies such as augmented reality, haptic feedback. And then lastly, our uncrewed aircraft systems portfolio is unique in that we're looking at how drones can aid public safety in different use cases, but we conduct that portfolio via prize challenges. So we actually engage with external collaborators to conduct research, inviting innovators across the world to solve against a different use case, such as how can drones perhaps fly in a deployable network to an area that is degraded or rural and doesn't have connectivity. How could drones be used to fly indoors and navigate constrained environments and capture live video footage, send that back to incident command, or even create live 3D maps as they're flying indoors. But those are our 4 primary areas of research, looking again, as I mentioned, far out at the next generation technology emerging.
Okay, so thank you very much for working on making broadband next skin for us. Maybe moving into policy, now from technology to policy. So we have already covered business models, we have touched technology a couple of times. Now policy and regulation. In France and Finland, what was the role or is the role of policies and regulation? What are the challenges there? What are the things one should pay attention to?
Well, they are really, really important. I think from the beginning, when the government made the decision to move forward, I think we had to rewrite or change 2 or 3 legislation. One, the regulation about priority and preemption, because of course, first we have to come to a governmental decision or regulatory decision that network neutrality doesn't apply to us, so then we can first place prioritize the traffic. But then we had to sort of write that into the legislation that Virve 2 subscribers, that's our service, Virve was the legacy service, they can have priority preemption and better quality of service, but it's not, you can't use it like, when you need it, you can use it. It's quite difficult. The operators or the regulator made sure that we didn't actually disturb the consumer's traffic or business traffic if we didn't need to. So it's really important for us, especially since we don't have our own frequency. So we only rely on operators' frequency, operator service, mingling in with the consumers and the business subscribers. So it is really important for us. But it is also quite difficult. The government has been really positive and supporting of us, but still, at least it takes a long time to move forward, develop anything, if it means that you have to look at it from a regulatory point of view, whether it's okay or not. But we are here, so we are happy.
Yeah, and we had a very similar approach to the one you had in Finland. In the early stage of our program, we passed a law and defined in the legislation what public safety critical broadband communication are, what is the network that carries this communication, and who is in charge of operating this network. So that's ACMOS. And we define in the law the obligation of the commercial carriers towards this operator. That's prioritize access to their network and the obligation for them to set up national roaming for us, for our end users. And this legal framework was very, very important, clarified the way we will develop this business model and this approach. So it's a key component of the project.
Thank you. Now let's continue technology, but put our view beyond the horizon. So let's start looking at the future, and let's see from 3GPP point of view. So Isam, what do you think? Like what can we expect from 3GPP standardization? So what's the vision there?
Yeah, thank you, Tero, for this question. Looking why we had a look at what we did so far, looking now what is coming, and what's coming is 6G, obviously. We in 3GPP already started looking at the 6G from May 2024. We organized the IMT 2030 workshop, where we invited not members but the partners, TCCA and others, to express their vision of what 6G, what are the expectations from 6G. And actually next week, well, a couple of us, or at least a few of us, will be almost flying from here to Korea for the 6G workshop. Which is then the occasion for the members of 3GPP to express their vision also, but also start discussions about the technology of 6G. 6G then will not be, or specifications will not be ready, we know, before March 2029. Between now and then we have in release 20. So currently we are working in normative of release 19. Release 20 will be only for studies regarding 6G. And then the normative work will be done in release 21. Now, in terms of what we need to expect or what we can expect, we know a little bit more after next week. But there are already some tendencies that we know will most likely happen in 6G. And the first one is more intelligence. So EI, we are talking about EI native 6G, EI from day one. And here we are talking about networks to support EI as a application. So, and we know that EI can be for also mission critical, very critical by to help responders actually on some situations. So we are ensuring that the network can support EI. But we are also looking at EI for networks. So how we can use EI to optimize the network, sustainability, recovery, all this maintenance. So this is the first aspect. Second, and by the way, security of AI is a very important aspect. When in ETSI we have a TC looking at how to secure EI. Second is integrated sensing and communication, so using the same waveform to transmit signal, but also to do the sensing. And again, we see some use cases which can be very relevant for the critical communication. But then, other than these two use cases, I think security is paramount for 6G, even more than the previous generations. Resilience, talked about that before, but it's becoming also one extremely important requirement. And coverage, ubiquitous coverage. NTN started to be a reality already on 5G, but we are talking about integration of NTN and terrestrial from day one. And if we look at these last three, security, resilience, and coverage, what we're basically doing is building the trust on the network, making sure that we have a network which is available all the time, everywhere, and in case of disaster, you recover very quickly. So to summarize it in that terms.
Absolutely fabulous. Really, TCCA has also indeed submitted our vision for 6G, and we did a bit of a thinking exercise how the societies are in 2040s, which is the prime time of 6G, and we came to the conclusion that we are totally dependent on communication. We are all ready, but then we are really totally dependent, and the societies are in terrible trouble if comms doesn't work. So what we are fundamentally calling, which you highlighted quite nicely, is that trust should be the design principle of 6G. So whenever a feature is created, one should ask like, okay, what does trust mean for this feature, this capability? Can we do something to enable the mobile network operators and other parties in the ecosystem to provide service that we can actually, as citizens, trust our life upon? So that's what we hope for the societies in the 40s, resulting that public safety gets also what it requires. Now, for the rest of you, what are you expecting from the future? What are the things that you find important?
Maybe in the domain of security, the impact of post-quantum computing. There are a lot of security components within our network, and PQC is a big challenge. So we have to fully understand the timeline of PQC technology for firewalls, VPN, and so on. And when shall we tackle the change within our component with these new gears? That's pretty important from our standpoint.
Well, I agree. So I won't repeat that, but if you look at Finland on the map, we have quite long eastern border, and where nobody is living, and also there are great areas up north where nobody is living. So we are a very sparsely populated country, and even though our network operators has assured us that they have committed to providing 97% geographical coverage, we wouldn't mind having more than one connection everywhere in Finland all the time. So basically, on top of cybersecurity stuff and sensing that has been mentioned, I am really looking forward to maturing NTN so that we would get the connection from the satellite. Of course, we would have to have more satellites flying over Finland, which we don't have at the moment, LEO satellites enough or constellation enough. And also sidelink and multi-hopping especially, so that once we get the satellite connectivity, if not to UE of the policeman, at least to the vehicle, and then perhaps relay the 5G network onwards, I would suggest that most blue light activities function within the reach of the vehicle, should it be a tactical network, and then would be backward connected to the core. The thing is that it can't be really complex. That's why I expect sort of IAB or RAB, whatever you call it in 3GPP, NTN and stuff like that. So it's easy, and it's also cost efficient to expand the service within Finnish soil. So that's it.
And I would add to that, from a technology perspective, the enablement of next generation technologies. As we're looking towards those emerging capabilities, like, to give you an example, we have a project investigating the use of point clouds, a 3D map file to conduct tracking of personnel indoors, and putting that into an augmented reality heads-up display. But those are really large data files. So how can we, or looking towards the future, we're going to require those higher processing speeds that enable the use of those technologies. Additionally, I think the buzzword of this week is artificial intelligence. I'm seeing it all over every session, machine learning. We're going to have massive amounts of data available to us, and how can first responders, from my perspective, utilize that data in a way that meets their operational requirements? So whether it's combing through it and identifying what's contextually important for them to digest and providing it in a way that they can consume in real time, that's going to require those future releases, enabling the use.
Awesome. Now we have been shown that we have actually 3 minutes. That means that we can, if you have a question, we can let you ask a question. Is there any?
Thank you very much, Tara, and thank you very much to the panelists. I have a question for Guillaume and for Antti. Unlike our colleagues in the US, who've opted for a model where each individual public safety agency has the opportunity to opt in, your models sort of mandate in the program a transition towards LTE and then eventually like 3GPP based technology. Have you accounted for the time that it will take to transform the operational transition from an officer carrying their incumbent radio to a smartphone or 3GPP enabled device? How is that coexistence, and how long will it take for RF and for VRF 2.0 to coexist?
So basically,
transition process.
I'd say that the service is mature now, or was last year, and we do expect everyone to be migrated. Let's say 28 would be ideal, after 30 would be a nightmare, so somewhere between that. It's easier in a sense for us that they were already using shared service, so the system before our Tetra network was shared by everyone. So, and before that, they all have their own VHF network. So we have already, the last transition, got everyone on board on the shared system. So now they also migrate as one. And then, of course, eventually we will just shut down the old one and force them into the new one. But
yeah, well, we have a pretty close approach. We plan to transition from narrowband networks to the RF in 3 years' time. You know, we are weeks away of, opening the service. And it is, when it will be open, it is nationwide. So it could be used by anyone in France, immediately. But, it takes time to get used to this new technology and the advanced services we provided. So that's the reason why we plan it on 3 years.
one follow-up question, I guess this is also, or comment, this is also about trust, because even though moving into broadband, if I go to our end user and say all the fancy things that the broadband era will bring, they will ask me, yes, but does it work when I press the button? So it first have to be as good as the legacy system doing PTT, and then we can add some.
Let's consider that, Antti, that was also your final comment. Any final comment from you?
Trust.
Future development.
Okay, so from my side, first, the connection is the lifeline that you have to have first. Then you have to have adequate capacity that you can actually deliver what you need. And on the top of that, you need to have functional services that meet your requirements. And with this, we trust 3GPP to help us, but together we have to do it. Thank you very much.
Our guests, very good insightful section to share about what they have done. So now we have to end the session. Actually, we have a coffee room opposite. If you guys still want to connect to our guest speaker, welcome to have some coffee outside in the opposite of this room. And then, of course, welcome to join the APAC 5G industry community. We will continuously to run more webinar and physical section to support you guys to learn and adopt 5G in your sector, including public safety. Thank you very much.